Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Italy.
It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Prime Tickets presents the Dodgers as they take on the Colorado Rockies. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Thursday evening to you, wherever you may be. Dodgers and Rockies meeting Game 1 of a 4-game series. Also the 10th meeting of the year between the teams, and the Colorado Rockies have a slight edge. They've won 5 of 9. Battle of left-handers, both of whom are having their problems. Chris Capuano with a record of 2-6, earned run average over 5. On the mound for Colorado, left-hander Drew Pomeranz 0-2, and an earned run average over 9. For the Dodgers, since the 22nd of June, they've won 15 out of 18, and they've picked up 8 games in the standings. They've also done that by winning 12 of the last 14 in the Western Division. But talking about the Western Division, the Colorado Rockies have won 26 times within the West. That's the best record in the major leagues within a division by one team. So it looks like a good one. Game 1 of the 4-game series, 2 games separating the two teams. We'll have the ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this. go big at a Jack in the Box near you with Jack's new Big Stack Burger.
And we are moments away from first pitch here at the Ravine. Rockies and the Dodgers, 4 games before the All-Star break. It is confirmed a sellout. This little guy, Adrian Gonzalez, might have something to do with that. That and all the winning. Steve Lyons, Patrick O'Neill, the road trip. 7-2, outscoring opponents 58-31.
Anytime you go on a 9-game trip through your own division, you go to Colorado, San Francisco, Arizona, and you win 7 out of those 9 games, you know you're going to pick up some ground. They're just a game and a half back. Before that road trip, the Dodgers were 13-22 on the road.
Now to business at hand, taking care of the Colorado Rockies. Also in the division, you look at Arizona currently at home, losing to Milwaukee early 2-0. But, hey, one at a time, but how great would it be to be in first at the break?
Yeah, 4 games here before the break. You absolutely can make up some ground here, even though you're not playing against Arizona. You got to take care of business against a revived Colorado team. This is not the same team that we just played a week ago. They've got all their stars back. They're going to be a much tougher team to beat.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so we have Chris Capuano on the hill going against Drew Pomerantz. Yasiel Puig didn't make the final vote, will not be an All-Star, but he will be starting in center field. When we come back, Vince Scully and the first pitch on Prime Ticket.
The All-Star break, and a good and important series it figures to be. The Dodgers a game and a half out of first place, and Colorado 3.5 back, and they go after each other for 4 games. Tonight, Chris Capuano, the left-hander, going against another left-hander, Drew Pomerantz. The Dodgers at home are 25-21. Walt Weiss bringing his ball club in. They have about the identical record as the Dodgers at home. The big thing about Colorado, they have won 26 games in the Western Division. That's not only tops in the West, it is tops in every division in both the National and the American League. Here's a lineup for the visiting Rockies. Dexter Fowler just starting after a lengthy stay on the DL. He's in center. Josh Rutledge at second base. Carlos Gonzalez in left field, an all-star. Troy Tulowitzki just off the DL, also an all-star. And Michael Kadaya back-to-back-to-back. 3 all-stars that Capuano will have to battle. Then you have the catcher, Willen Rosario. Todd Helton at first. Nolan Arenado at third. And the pitcher, Drew Pomerantz. On the mound for the Dodgers, the veteran left-hander Chris Capuano. He is 1-4 at home with an earned run average of 9. And this is pretty much of a pitcher's ballpark, but it certainly hasn't helped Capuano. On the road, he is 1-2, but his earned run average on the road is 2.6. One other couple of notes about Capuano. Right-hand batters are hitting .322 against him with 7 home runs. Left-hand batters are hitting .215 against him with no home runs. The left-hand batters in the Rockies lineup are Gonzalez and Helton. Dexter Fowler is a switch hitter. We can take a look at the Dodgers with the leather behind Capuano, and it's Gonzalez and Mark Ellis, Ramirez and Uribe, Hairston with Puig in center, Van Slyke in right. So the left-hand batters, people like Andre Ethier, will sit this one out. So the Dodgers on a roll since the 22nd of June. They've won 15 out of 18. They moved Puig, who's been exposed to all 3 outfield positions. He's coming off a rough night last night where he went 1 for 7 and struck out 3 times. But as he says, he doesn't care what happens with him individually as long as the Dodgers won, which they did, although it did take them 5 hours and 14 minutes to do it. So Chris Capuano is ready to pitch to Dexter Fowler, who's kind of a daddy long legs. He's 6'4", 185, and Dexter can really go and get him. Case in point, coming off the DL today, since World War II, the only player to record 50 career triples faster than Fowler was Gary Templeton, you may remember. And the first pitch in for a strike, 0-1. Dexter's from Alpharetta, Georgia, lives in Roswell, Georgia. 14th round pick 9 years ago by Colorado. Strike 1 pitch, Dexter takes low, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. It is a warm, humid evening here in Los Angeles. The temperature at game time 76 degrees with a little smattering of rain or raindrops around the area, and very welcome it would be. 1-1 to count. Capuano ready, back he comes, fastball lifted into right field. Scott Van Slyke is there waiting, and one-hands it for the out, and we have 1 down. The Rockies a formidable ball club, but they are 4 games under 500. However, they've had a lot of trouble on the road against left-hand pitching. Whether they have Carlos Gonzalez or Troy Tulowitzki or Todd Helton, the big names, they are 4-12 against left-handers when they're on the road. Here's Josh Rutledge. Rutledge, the second baseman, right-hand batter. He takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Rutledge will be followed by Carlos Gonzalez and then Troy Tulowitzki. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Rutledge way out in front of it. Doesn't get it. And the count 0-2 to Josh. Rutledge is from Coleman, Alabama. Played ball at the University of Alabama, and the Rockies drafted him in the 3rd round back in 2010. He takes strike 3 call. Fastball on the inside corner, and down goes Rutledge. So 2 out. An easy 2 outs for Capuano, but now comes big trouble, and that would be Carlos Gonzalez. In Gonzalez's great career, he's hit 14 home runs against the Dodgers. He's hit 16 against Arizona, and he has had 3 home runs against the Dodgers this year. Cargo, as they call him, batting .302, 24 home runs, 63 RBIs, as befits an all-star. So Gonzalez, left-hand hitter. Capuano into the windup, and the first pitch to Cargo is down and away, ball 1. Gonzalez has had a couple of physical problems. Number 1, just back of his left shoulder. He's had something bothering him. He also hurt a finger swinging the bat. The 1-0 pitch on the way. He has a big swing and a foul. 1-1. Gonzalez, a Gold Glover in 2010 and again in 2012. Signed a big contract in 2011 for 7 years. So he'll be with the Rockies a while. And he also hit for the Cycle in 2010. The 1-1 pitch, Cargo slings, hits it in the air to right. Then Slike started to go back, stays with it to make the catch, and down go the Rockies, 1-2-3. So at the end of half an inning, Colorado nothing, and the Dodgers coming up against Drew Pomeranz. And we can take a look at the Dodger lineup coming home after a very successful road trip that saw them win 7 of 9. Mark Ellis leads off at second base, and Yasiel Puig is in center field. Adrian Gonzalez at first, Hanley Ramirez the shortstop, Scott Van Slyke in right field, Juan Uribe at third. Gary Hairston in left, Tim Fedorovich behind the plate, Chris Capuano on the mound. On the mound for Colorado, 6'5", Drew Pomeranz. He lives in Oxford, Mississippi. That would be William Faulkner's country. He went to the University of Mississippi. Big left-hander, 0 for 2. Into his windup, and the first pitch to Mark Ellis, in for a strike, and we're underway. Early report, second inning, Milwaukee leading Arizona 2-0 on a home run by Jonathan LaCroix with a man aboard. Giovanni Gallardo over Wade Miley right now. The pitch swung on and foul back. So Mark Ellis with a no-ball, 2-strike count. Boy, was he unlucky last night. Robbed of a home run by Cody Ross. Robbed of a double or maybe a triple by A.J. Pollock. Nevertheless, Ellis still wound up with a couple of base hits. So Mark waiting, Pomeranz into the windup, and the strike 2 pitch is hit just fair. Inside first, down the line. Mark on his way to second and then thinks better of it. A strong throw from Kadaya holds him at first base. So Mark Ellis, a leadoff single against Drew Pomeranz. And the batter is Yasiel Puig. So Puig coming up against Pomeranz. You know how notorious he is about swinging at the first pitch. We'll see what he does now. Hitting .394, 8 home runs, 19 runs batted in. Making a start in center field for the first time this year. Pomeranz ready and delivers, and the fastball in there at the knees, and the count 0-1. Puig backs out for the moment, looking down to Tim Wallach, who's far away beyond the coaching box and third base. So Puig waits. Off the bag at first, Mark Ellis. First inning, no score. Pomeranz ready and delivers, and the breaking ball is low. His breaking ball is not just a curveball. It was a pitch that was taught to him, a knuckle curve, where the fingernails are in the ball, like a knuckler, and then he doesn't really twist the ball at all, but somehow he pushes it up there. The 1-1 pitch on the way. Pomeranz delivers, and that's low and inside. So 2-1 to count to Yasiel Puig. Drew Pomerantz and his brother Stuart learned more about pitching from their father, Mike Pomerantz, who was an infielder who played 4 years at Ole Miss. And it was his dad who taught them both how to throw the knuckle curve. 2-1 the count. Pomerantz at the belt, comes back to the plate, swung on, fouled away. He jammed Puig, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pomerantz's older brother Stuart was drafted by the Cardinals in the 2nd round, pitched for 5 years in their farm system. Drew Pomerantz came up 2 years after he was drafted, actually about a year and a half. 2 balls and 2 strikes, the count to Yasiel Puig. Pomerantz delivers, little ground ball down to second. They'll get one. The throw to first is in time. Double play. The Yasiel Puig grounds into the double play here in the 1st inning. And with 2 down, the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez.
Adrian Gonzalez.
Adrian Gonzalez on a bobblehead night, hitting .300, 14 home runs, 58 runs batted in. Had a wonderful road trip where he hit 4 home runs, 3 of them in the rarefied air of Denver. So Adrian waiting, Pomerantz ready and deals, and the first pitch in for a strike, 0-1. So Adrian Gonzalez bobblehead night, and from the looks of it, a huge success. No balls and 1 strike to Adrian, hitting .300. He has a pitch bounce in the dirt in front of him. 1 ball and 1 strike. Adrian providing the Dodgers with clutch hitting with 14 home runs, 58 runs batted in. Now the 1-1 pitch on the way. Adrian skies it foul off to the left out of play. 1-2 the count. Interesting, the plate umpire tonight is Marty Foster. And Marty was born in Denver, lives in Wisconsin. He started umpiring in a summer league in Denver. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here comes Pomerantz, and he works it down and away. The third base umpire tonight, we saw him for the first time over in Arizona. Those were the first 3 games he'd ever umpired in the big leagues, and he did a wonderful job last night in the 14-inning game as the plate umpire. Little fly ball, that's trouble. It's going to drop. So Adrian, a fly ball single with 2 out, and that will bring up Hanley Ramirez. Hanley Ramirez not only swinging the bat well, he is hitting the ball as hard as anybody we've seen in quite a while. Can you imagine? Since June the 19th, he's hit .464, and over that stretch, 7 home runs and 21 RBIs in 22 games. But I mean, he is blistering the ball. He hasn't had one of those Adrian Gonzalez base hits like tonight, little fly ball dunker. I mean, he has just killed the ball. So here's Hanley. Pomerantz delivers, and Hanley way out in front of it. 0-1 the count. Hanley Ramirez, in looking at his work this year, hitting .294 against left-hand pitching with 4 home runs. He has 4 against left and 4 against right. No balls and 1 strike to count. Pomerantz with 2 out looks at Gonzalez. Now the left-hander back, and a fastball is fouled away. 0-2 the count to Hanley Ramirez. Ramirez, you remember, had that 19-game hitting streak, but it was finally stopped. He hit the big home run last night, home run to right field to give the Dodgers a 6-5 lead. A.J. Ellis followed with a home run to left center, and the Dodgers won 7-5 in 5 hours and 14 minutes. And the next pitch fouled back, and Ramirez jammed. Though a good pitch in on the knuckles. No balls and 2 strikes. And looking at the Dodgers' work against Pomerantz and vice versa, Dodgers haven't seen much of the left-hander. Pomerantz out of a stretch, looks at Gonzalez, very short lead over there. Strike 2 pitch to Ramirez, swung on and foul back. So the battle continues here in the first inning. No score in the ball game. Drew Pomeranz, 6'5", 230. 24 years old. He'd be 25 near the end of November. And originally drafted by the Cleveland Indians in the first round. Came to Colorado in the Ubaldo Jimenez deal. The next one is lifted to left field and deep. Going back on the ball is Gonzalez. It is up against the fence, and somehow the Gold Glover in left field made the catch. What a play by Carlos Gonzalez. The ball would not have cleared the fence, but he just timed his jump perfectly and went up and made the catch. The ball otherwise would have hit the screen. Instead, Carlo hit the screen, and at the end of an inning, no score. The Dodgers and the Rockies. The Dodger record of late, remember they started 12 games under 500. Since then they've won 15 out of 18. They're scoring more. They're hitting better with runners in scoring position. They're getting better pitching, and they've had 3 4-game winning streaks. However, there wasn't very much they could do about Carlos Gonzalez, twice a Gold Glover, who made that magnificent catch to take an extra base hit away from Hanley Ramirez. So here is Troy Tulowitzki, another all-star, right-hand batter, and the breaking ball in for a strike. Tulo, one of those truly fortunate young men. He's been blessed. He signed to become a professional, first-round pick in 2005, went to Long Beach State, and 14 months later, he was playing in the big leagues. No lengthy time in the minors for Troy. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Tulo takes a strike. And the count 0-2. Tulowitzki has done great things for Colorado. Now Capuano trying to slow him down. Tulo's been on the DL. He had bad ribs. The strike 2 pitch on the way. Capuano works it up there, and it's swung on and missed. And down goes Tulo. Second strikeout for Chris Capuano. And the batter now will be Mike Kadire.
Right fielder, Michael Kadire.
So Kadire hitting .337, 15 home runs, 52 runs batted in. You may remember he had a 27-game hitting streak, and that snapped against the Dodgers in Denver. Kadire, the right-hand hitter waiting, has a look, in the first pitch a strike, and the count 0-1. Kadia's from Norfolk, Virginia, lives in Chesapeake, Virginia. Went to high school there and was originally drafted by the Minnesota Twins. Strike one, pitch on the way out in front of a changeup, and the count 0-2. So Chris Capuano trying to do what he did when he first came off the DL. Remember that magnificent 6 innings he turned in against the Yankees when he failed to walk a batter. The next pitch reached for a little ground ball to Ramirez. He throws on the run to get him. So down goes Kadir. Nice play by Hanley. And we have 2 out here in the second inning.
Catcher number 20, Willie Rosario.
Willen Rosario willing to go behind the plate, and that's been his job. And Rosario coming up now. 2 out, bases empty, top of the second inning. Rosario is from Bonao in the Dominican Republic, signed as a free agent by the Rockies. Last year as a rookie, all he did was hit 28 home runs. Right now he has 13, 45 runs batted in, and hitting .277. Capuano into the windup and delivers, breaking ball, but misses ball 1. Just one of the many reasons to come on out here during this 4-game series. Take a look at people like Kadir and Ramirez. Mike Kadir had a 27-game streak. Henley Ramirez a 19, and both still hot. The next pitch swung on and missed. Rosario way out in front of it. 1-1. Hanley robbed of an extra base hit on that great play as he gestures to Juan Uribe. They have a running conversation during the game and really stay loose. 1 ball and 1 strike. Capuano ready. Back he comes. That swung on and missed. And the count 1-2. So Chris Capuano trying to turn things around. 1-4 with an earned run average of 9 here at Dodger Stadium. That just doesn't make sense. One ball and 2 strikes to the catcher, Willen Rosario, who has to pull away. Pitch way inside. 2-2. Willen 5'11", 200-pounder. He's only 24. Right-hander signed in 2006 and made it up 2 years ago. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Capuano delivers, missed low and inside. And the count runs full. 3-2. On deck, one of the great players, not only in Colorado history, but certainly in the National League, Todd Helton. Capuano ready in the 3-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Bad ball way outside of the strike zone. So Capuano really fooled Rosario, and down he goes. 3 strikeouts for Cap, and at the end of an inning and a half, no score. and Rockies, game one of a 4-game series, and Sunday by sundown, that will be the end of the so-called first half. After Sunday's game, the All-Star break. The Dodgers, when the break is over, will go to the Washington Nationals and then go to Toronto before coming home to play the Cincinnati Reds. The Dodgers not only playing Cincinnati for 4, but there'll be a 2-game series with the New York Yankees. And then the Dodgers will go back out on the road again. Bottom of the second, no score. Scott Van Slyke, Juan Uribe, and Jerry Hairston against a left-hander, Drew Pomeranz, who was fortunate. He gave up 2 singles and then that tremendous catch by Carlos Gonzalez. So Van Slyke, 1 for 2 last night. Into the windup goes Pomeranz, and the first pitch down and away. Ball 1. 1-0. The Rockies have won 26 games within the Western Division. That's better than any other team in any other division. The pitch to Van Slyke, in for a strike. How they've done it? Well, they beat San Diego 10 of 13, winning 5 of the 6 in San Diego. Walt's club has struggled a little bit, however, against the Giants. Van Slyke takes a strike. They are 6-7 against San Francisco. They are 5-8 against Arizona, but they do have an edge against the Dodgers, 5 games to 4. Van Slyke takes, and it's strike 3 call. So Scott slowly walking back as Pomeranz picks up a K, 1 away, and the batter will be Juan Uribe. Rockies have done okay here at Dodger Stadium. They've won 2 out of 3 here. There is one note about the Rockies that's very interesting. If the opponent scores first against Colorado, the Rockies are 0-20. When the Rockies score first on the road, they are 18-7. And the pitch to Uribe is inside, ball 1, 1-0. Uribe, who's been swinging a pretty solid bat all year for the Dodgers, hitting .272. Pomeranz into the windup, delivers, and it's fouled away. Uribe, 5 home runs. He carries that number on his back. 28 runs batted in. Dodgers haven't seen much of Pomeranz. Uribe has never batted against him. Gonzalez is 2 for 3 against him. And the 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball low. 2-1 the count. The Dodgers will send Clayton Kershaw to the mound tomorrow night. Zach Greinke will pitch Saturday afternoon. And then Ricky Nolasco will pitch Sunday. 2-1 pitch on the way, and Uribe backs off. It's a little high. 3-1 the count to Juan. No score, bottom of the second inning. Uribe waiting with Hairston on deck. 3-1 pitch, swung on and foul back. Uribe 1 for 4. He got into the game yesterday a little bit late. Had that huge game Friday night with 7 runs batted in against the Giants. 3-2 pitch is swung on, little flare, foul, heading towards the visiting dugout, lands on the roof. Kangaroos back up about 10 rows. A beautiful stadium, a beautiful evening, and just about a full house. It's a sellout. Game 1 of the 4. 3-2 the count. Pomeranz ready. The pitch to Uribe. Ground ball up the middle into center field for a base hit. So the Dodgers last night had themselves a lot of base hits. In fact, when you realize they had 42 hits in the 3 games in Arizona, now they come back and they've had 3 hits so far in an inning and a third tonight. However, last night they were leaving so many men on base. So Uribe with a base hit up the middle, and the hitter now, Jerry Hairston. Hairston got into the game last night walked and fouled out. Doing very well against the Rockies, hitting .500. Pomerantz at the belt, delivers, and the first pitch is high. Ball 1, 1-0. Hairston overall hitting in the 260s, 1 home run, 11 runs batted in. He'll play almost anywhere, especially third base and left field. No score, bottom of the second inning. 1 away. The 1-0 pitch, Hairston pulls away. It's in at the shins. 2 balls and no strikes. On deck, Tim Fedorovich. So the Dodger catcher hitting 8th in the lineup, waiting on deck. Hairston back up. Count his way. 2 balls and no strikes. Pomerantz ready. 6'5" left-hander to the plate. Fastball is whacked down the left field line, just over the bag and in the corner. Gonzalez over to pick it up. Rounding third, heading for home is Uribe. He's going to be out, and the throw is a run where the tag is missed. And Uribe is in because the ball was dropped by Willen Rosario. He was going to be out by a good 5 feet, and Rosario failed to hold on to the throw. So the Dodgers score first. A double down the line. Carlos Gonzalez over to play the carom off the wall. Fired into his cutoff man. The throw was there waiting. The tag was on, and the ball just squirted out. So the Dodgers get a big break and lead 1-0. So the Dodgers are fortunate will repeat on the road this year when the opponents score first. The Rockies are 0-20, and the Dodgers have scored first and getting a big break. So 1-0 Dodgers. Hairston at second base, and here's Fedorovich, and he takes the strike. So Hairston doubles in the corner. No error on the play. 1-0 Dodgers. Hairston taking his lead. Pomerantz set. The strike 1 pitch on the way. Pomerantz to the plate, and the pitch is high. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Hairston hitting .500 against the Rockies, doubles in his first at bat tonight against them, and now Fedorovich trying to pick him up. Tim, right-hand hitting catcher, has the nickname FedEx, and the 1-1 pitch coming up. Pomerantz at the belt. Left-hander's fastball is high and away. Ball 2, 2-1. So Juan Uribe huffing and puffing, but he's in the dugout with a run thanks to the fact that the tag got away from Willen Rosario. Now Puig over to tease him, I'm sure. 2-1 the count. Time, Fedorovich backing out. Basically the book on Pomerantz, fastball up to 95. He has that knuckle curveball and a changeup. Fedorovich waiting, and the 2-1 pitch. Pomerantz looks back at Hairston. Now the pitch to Fedorovich, that's in for a strike, and the count 2-2. Waiting on deck is Chris Capuano. And you may know that the Dodger pitchers have been doing very well of late with the bat. Time for the moment. Rosario going out to talk to Pomerantz. Dodgers lead 1 run, 4 hits, 1 out, bottom of the second inning. Dodgers already had Ellis single, Gonzalez single, Uribe single, and Hairston with the double. The Jerry taking his lead. Not much that the shortstop Tulowitzki can do. It's up to Rutledge to try to hold him on at second. The 2-2 pitch is swung on and fouled away. Hairston coming not quite halfway to third, but he sure came down the line a bit on that pitch to Fedorovich. 2-2 the count. Now the pitch to Fedorovich. Swung on, fouled away. In fact, missed, and down he goes. Here comes Capuano, and we're talking about Dodger pitchers. Remember, Ricky Nolasco went 2 for 2 in his Dodger debut. Zach Greinke went 3 for 3. So it's been nearly 20 years since a team starting pitchers combined to go 5 for 5 or better, and each record a win in consecutive games. Last time, Tim Pugh and John Smiley for the 1994 Cincinnati Reds. So here's Capuano, and he takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Two out, second inning, 1-0 Dodgers. Caught a break. Uribe was definitely dead meat, and Rosario dropped the throw. Actually caught the throw and then dropped the tag. Capuano, fooled by a pitch, spins around, and a no-ball, 2-strike count. 1 run, 4 hits for the Dodgers, nothing across. Capuano has struck out 3 of the 6 he has faced. It is a clean-shaven, boyish-looking Capuano. So he's going the opposite against the trend. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Cappy waits. Pomeranz delivers. Fastball gets him swinging, and that's that. So for Pomeranz, he winds up striking out the side. But Rosario makes the bad play. Dodgers take advantage of it, and at the end of 2, lead 1-0. A reminder, Sunday at 1:10, Dodgers and Rockies, and the first 40,000 fans in attendance take home a Puig t-shirt, compliments of Time Warner Cable. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. 1-0 in favor of the Dodgers as we go to the third. Milwaukee leading Arizona right now, 3-0 in the bottom of the fourth. Gallardo has allowed 1 hit early on. Wade Miley has allowed home runs to Carlos Gomez and Jonathan LaCroix. LaCroix's home run was a monster. It landed, they tell me, in the balcony in dead center field. It's about 407 at the base of the wall, but to hit it up in the balcony, that's got to be quite a shot. Talking about quite a shot, here's one of the great players, Todd Helton. They came up with the Rockies in 1997 and still swinging away, hitting .245. He has a half a dozen home runs. Capuano looks in to get a sign, and into the third inning we go. The left-hander ready, and the pitch to Helton. Todd swings, doesn't get it, and the count 0-1. Todd Helton, all of a sudden, it's hard to believe, born in 1973. signed a 9-year deal, and that deal has run out. I remember when he signed it, you figured you'd never see the end of it. Breaking ball off the plate. The 9-year deal went through 2012, and it was worth, if I remember, $141 million. And then he got an extension, and here he is. And baseball is the better for it. 1-1 the count to Todd Helton. Capuano deals, and that's foul back. Only 5 players in Major League history possess a .325 batting average, .400 on-base percentage, .570 slugging percentage in his career. Todd Helton is one of 5. Who are they? Lou Gehrig, Albert Pujols, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Todd. So 1-2 the count to the Pride in Knoxville and the University of Tennessee, and he fouls another one back. He's long ago made his home in Denver. Back a while, the year 2000, Todd had 42 home runs and 147 runs batted in. The next year, he hit 49 and had 146 runs batted in. Swings, rolls one foul off to the right of the plate. So he's still there. 1-2. Helton, when you talk to him about as a kid, did you have any favorite players? And he said a couple of them were Rod Carew and Don Mattingly. Bird's eye view as we wait for Helton and Capuano to hook up. The 1-2 pitch on the way, swung on, fouled at the plate, though Todd is still there. Capuano has struck out 3. Pomeranz struck out the side in the second inning. But the Dodgers lead 1-0. And remember, Milwaukee is winning, beating Arizona 3-0. Dodgers trail Arizona at the moment by a game and a half. Capuano looks into Fedorovich to get the sign. Helton waits. And the 1-2 pitch to Todd. Fastball grounded by the diving Uribe and into left field. So the same old Helton. He just waits a while, fouls off some pitches, gets usually deep in the count, and then comes up with a base hit to left field. And the batter is Nolan Arenado. All he did was just go with the pitch, not fight it, and hit it by Uribe. So Todd Helton, the 40-year-old Todd Helton, believe it or not, standing at first, and Nolan Arenado at the plate. Noli from Lake Forest, California, went to El Toro High School. Second round pick by the Rockies, 2009. Nolan takes low, ball 1. Arenado is 6'1", 210. Only 22 years old. So Arenado waiting at the plate. He's hit as many as 20 home runs in the minors. So he has some sock way out in front of an off-speed pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. This year, Arenado was named the #1 prospect in the Rockies farm system, and here he is. 2 years ago, he led all of the minor leagues. He had 122 runs batted in. So Arenado, right-hand batter. And the 1-1 pitch on the way, a change, hit in the air to right center. Puig moving over, picks it off. Now guns it back to first base on the fly to Gonzalez. But Helton back to the bag easily. So Arenado, a fly ball to center, 1 away. And the batter, Drew Pomeranz. Pomeranz has only had 1 at bat.